Well, good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of the Sizzling Hot Marriage Show with yours truly, Joe Folletti Jr. And with me with today, my co-host, Dr. Saitik Davis. How are you, Dr. Saitik, today?
I am great. It's
You,
another day.
it's another
Another great,
day.
another great day as always.
Another great day as always. I like that. How do you stay so positive when so much stuff is going on?
I don't think we have much of a choice. I
What you
mean,
mean?
you can see it as a bad day, or you can see it as a day that you got to be alive to even classify it as a bad day. So it's another great day.
It's just another day, another great day, huh? All
Great
right.
day. Uh,
I think people are wired, differently. Some people are wired, to be positive, and some people are wired to be negative.
but it's their choice. And so that's what I'm saying. You could choose to see it as a good day. You could choose to see the cup is half empty, or you could choose to see the cup is half full.
Do
It's
you
your
think?
choice.
Do you think that people can rewire themselves
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Beyond doubt or hesitation.
beyond doubt or hesitation?
Absolutely.
Okay. You done any of that yourself?
All the time. That's why every day is a great day.
Every day is a great day, huh?
Yes, indeed.
That's awesome. Well, I tell you what, I do my very best to keep it positive. There's always something to complain about, right? But I mean, we have so much to be thankful for. Like for real, why even complain? For real, for real. It doesn't help anything. Nobody wants to hear it anyway. So, um, yeah, we have so much to be thankful for. I'm grateful for another day of life, health, and strength. I'm grateful for a good weekend. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. I had a fairly decent weekend. We got a lot of stuff done. Um, my convalescent leave time has ended, so I'm back to being a soldier. So,
Okay.
getting myself mentally prepared for that and doing the Uncle Sam's work. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it was a relaxing weekend as I prepared to continue this great journey of serving my
I
country.
know that's right. That's beautiful. You got 20 years in now, huh?
Yes, indeed.
That's
Yes, indeed.
awesome. Is that what you started out with, that desire to do a 20-year stint?
No, I think I started off just wanting to be somebody. I think I
Mm.
started off just wanting to impress my mom and make her proud, um and then eventually it just kind of turned into like I could do this. Like I could do this, and then before you know it, time started to like fly by. Like time, it was just like I looked up and I was already at 10 years. And so it was just kind of like just continue down the hill, chief.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Awesome. You recommend folks jump in the military now? What's your
Absolutely.
recommendation?
Absolutely. I mean, I will be 36 years old, having retired from the military after 20 years. Um, you can Google the calculators for pay in terms of 20-year retirement, as well as your medical. I mean, that's you think about making that amount of money just not doing anything, having already done something.
Yeah.
Um, and the skills, the education, the camaraderie, the opportunities are second to none. So
Right. So you got in at 16. I just doing the
today
calculation.
is my 17th birthday, but with my leave, I will retire before I turn 37.
Wow. Wow. That is phenomenal. That
But
is phenomenal.
that's how it happened. It was all the works of the good Lord.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for your service, Dr. Davis. And then you decided you're gonna go back to school and get a little more, huh? Is that how it was?
Look, before I clock out of the Army's clock, before I punched my last time clock for the Army, I want to ensure that I have gotten all the degrees that I can get
I
while
got you.
Uncle Sam's picking up the tab.
I
So
got you. I got you. Not gonna make use of every little bit you can, huh?
Indeed. Yes, indeed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, great. Well, we're excited about our show today. Now, before we get off of the military, though, and it's just a terrible thing going on down there in Ukraine. Hey, well, how many
Uh,
years has it been? When was World War II? When was that over with?
History has never been my strong suit. I just know we've been fighting this fight since
It's
1775. All these wars have all subsequently occurred after the birth of the army. So that's about the only date I can give you, ladies and gentlemen. But it is a very significant date.
hmm. Yeah, it's interesting to see. People just don't care about
Mm-mm.
other people. Don't care about their property. Just don't care about history. Just have it's just amazing to see people who just don't care. You know, come in your country and just gonna blow it up. I'm just gonna destroy it. Just because I can, I got the arsenal to do it. If you mess with me enough, I'll push the big button and drop the big bomb on you.
Right, right.
Are you serious?
I just think people, it really speaks to that trauma. I mean, and it's unfortunate when the people in power possess the trauma, the unspoken of trauma, because it's at that point it becomes unreachable.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So they have categorized this horrible behavior as being a necessity, and it's just like a maternity ward. Like one of the places they bombed was a maternity ward. You got to be a
Right.
special kind of
A
evil.
psychiatric hospital.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to be a special kind of evil. I almost said another word, but a special kind of evil to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't care. A kindergarten?
Hmm. Yeah, it's like the vulnerable populations is what they, I'm thinking about. I also teach this class, psychology of disaster. One of the topics in this class is when disasters affect the vulnerable populations, and how the impact from these disasters in the vulnerable population has a tendency to affect the rest of the world for a long term. So you think you hit a kindergarten, you hit a maternity ward. These people are in a phase of their life where they still have a lot of growing to do. And so they're going to carry this sense of animosity, this sense of this is how people respond with them for the rest of their
Right,
lives. And it's
right.
unfortunate because we are shaping the future of this world by these senseless acts, and I just think it's so unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It is. It's the consequence of sin. You know.
Absolutely.
You think about the Lucifer in heaven telling the angels, God's not fair. You know,
Yeah.
and convincing a third of them to join him in a rebellion. That's just crazy, huh? In heaven. So we have seen much worse down here. I tell you,
Yeah.
the 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 calculation of Mr. Putin, he is just. I feel like he's completely miscalculating. He's completely not in a real world, and it's unfortunate because when you're it's like you're gonna cross the street, right? I've got time. I got time to cross the street, whether I'm in my car, whether I'm in my bicycle, or I'm walking. You're calculating, and you best calculate right, or you're gonna get run over. And so it's interesting that he's calculating that he can have a quick victory bombing kindergartens. You know, I mean, what when you do stuff like that, he is not at all calculating what he's creating. He's creating what is 44 million people in that country. How many people in Ukraine? He is creating a backlash he ain't never seen before. You know, that's really, really, really something else. You just miscalculating. Anyway, I think I think it's unfortunate. It's sad. I pray for them every day, but I know that this. I have a sense this is going to be a very short war. That's my guess.
I
That
think
what's going to happen is it's going to be like all the other countries in the world be like, look, we're done with this. Let's bring an end to this. So I think that's what's going to happen very soon.
I think it's a very short war, but I also feel probably going to be the most impacted just based on the vulnerable populations, based on the people. Because unlike any other war, like, it's kind of like that unwritten rule where women and children are completely off limits. This just wasn't the case this time around. And while I am not an expert on what Mr. Putin is thinking or why he's thinking this, I think from a psychological perspective, um, this war, if you will raise tyrants. This war, if you will cause people to be hellish in a sense, um, because this is like the off limit stuff. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
women and we don't do that. Like in the history of this country and the
sir.
history of wars, like, sir, do you know that this population is not allowed? But when you look at the dynamics of Mr. Putin and just look at, you know, how much of involved in American politics he was over the last 4 years, is just almost satanic. Like it's almost like, wait a minute, so you sat down and broke bread with this guy?
Yeah,
American
yeah,
saw as an ally? It's like
yeah.
malignant.
Well,
Mm.
he had a bromance with our previous president.
That's what I was saying without saying it. I respect my commander in chief and will do all things to dignify him. So,
You do everything you can.
yes, yes. But he's a great man, great leader of sorts, and or Army strong. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's sad, and I think it really speaks to like that one kid that traveled 620 miles with a phone number on his hand. You just you gotta look at that kind of stuff, and you gotta be like, we are really shifting this world. We are
Yeah.
really we are really shifting it, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
flip.
No,
So,
it ain't
oh,
good. It ain't a good shift.
oh, indeed.
But you know what? The same type of thing happens in
You know,
marriages too. You know,
yes,
um, people start dropping bombs on the innocent. It's man, it, the psyche is so fragile that people get really beside themselves when they are. You use the word trauma. You said something about the trauma being the 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 energizer of this, the agent that spurned Mr. Putin. And can you expound on that and also kind of connect that to the violence we often see in our marriages?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and just to make sure I got this right, you want me to correlate the book of what's going into the world and how it can be relatable to your marriage.
Yeah.
Okay. So think about the one point that I made about how like they're hitting the maternity wards, the kindergarten, the psychiatric hospital, the vulnerable populations, and how these people will forever carry around this stain, if you will, this stain on their life, right? Because it's going to make them respond differently to certain things. Can you imagine being a kindergarten student and your school is bombed, or you sat next to you little Tiffany, and now little Tiffany got blown away? Like that's gonna affect you. So let's spin it around for marriages a little bit. A lot of times we saw daddy hit mama, or we saw mama hit daddy, or we didn't see a dad, or we were molested, or whatever the case may be, and that's pain. thing that's going to always be on us. And so that trauma that you've experienced when you were young will impact the way you love your wife or your husband current day. So you have to be healed from those things. Like those people will have to go through significant, therapy and treatment, and some may even, have to take medications. And that's the same thing that we must be aware of when we're putting ourselves in a marriage or putting ourselves in a relationship. Like, have you healed from those things that have stained your record, right? And so that's the same thing in my mind, kind of like with the war that's going on right now. Like when you allow, and we can even allow the whole Russia and Ukraine thing to also be symbolic of marriages, right? You got that one spouse who is just angry, who is just, always upset, and then you got this other spouse that's like at the point where I'm tired now. I've decided to fight back, but fighting back at this point does, like, look at all the residual damage. Look at all the residual damage. Like, how long has there been beef? Like, how long has there been problems? And now all of a sudden, instead of getting the help, instead of bringing their allies in and having a conversation with their allies, now it's like, we want to do this, and but you're not prepared to fight this battle because this other person is broken. This other person is broken beyond, conversational repair. And so that's, to me, that's like the Russian Ukraine thing in marriage. Like, you cannot fight that same fight. Like, I remember one time, my husband used to be real quick on his feet when it came to certain things. And I was like, you know what? Next time he do it, I'm gonna hit him back the same way he hit me, right? Not physically, because we don't do that. Because I fight back. My first name is Sati. But no. I, I was going, I was going to fight back with words. But what I found out is, some people are really good at cutting you with words, and you should never respond. Like, you can control how you react. And so right now, with what we are going through in this world, I'm curious to see the resources, right? The allies, America, Korea, China, right? The therapist, the pastor, the psychiatrist. I'm curious to see how we will heal ourselves from this point, be it
Mm-hmm.
marriage or the countries
Mm-hmm.
are raging. But yeah, that's what I got.
You got a lot there. You went in on that, young lady. So do you think that when a woman, I guess, it happens to men too, where they get in these relationships with these women who are abusive. So it's not just a man thing. Do you think the best thing is just to get out of that relationship, or what do you think?
See, for me, like, I tell people all the time, like, your promise is not to me, your promise is to God. So I personally would never tell somebody to leave their marriage. But what I will tell you is, you deserve more than being physically abused, be it a man hitting a woman or a woman hitting a man, because let's be honest, that does happen too. And so I will tell you, if you are in that circumstance and situation, I wouldn't tell you to divorce your spouse, but I do need to tell you, you need to seek refuge. You need to find a safe place to go where you take yourself out of that environment.
Say
Because
it.
what
Say it one more time. Say it one more time.
you need to seek refuge. You need to get yourself out of that predicament, that circumstance, and you need to find higher ground. You need to find safe ground. And again, that's not a divorce, but sometimes it takes you taking yourself out of a situation and looking at it from a different perspective, right? Because if I look right now at my ceiling fan, I can just see it this direction. But if I get up out my chair and walk to the side, I can now see a different side of it. And as a matter of fact, even if I tilt my head like this, I'm able to see that there's dust on the blades of the ceiling fan. So it may require you to take yourself out of that situation and stand back and look at it, and then make a decision as to, is this healthy for me? Because we all know how these abusive relationships typically end, right? Statistics would suggest that those abusive relationships end more in death than divorce. So if someone is hitting you, be it male or female, I just want to ask you, is that love?
Right.
I just want to ask
Right.
you, what about that person? What about you that makes someone feel like the way to communicate with you is through physical violence? What about that person says that they're not equipped to use their words. Man, does that not scream immaturity and
Mm-hmm.
ignorance?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
digress.
I mean, it, it's just not normal. It's not healthy
Mhm.
to be hitting on each other, to be screaming and hollering at each other, calling each other out your name. You know, it's not even normal to be putting people out on blast on Facebook and these kind of things people be doing. Um, so that's abnormal behavior. I mean, normal people don't do those things. Now, I'm not saying that normal people don't do those things. Normal people can become abnormal.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And all
And
of us,
oh, go ahead.
all of us have the potential of being abnormal, of losing our cool, of doing things outside of what is conventionally acceptable, and find ourselves outlaws, if we're not careful. So yeah, it's important to recognize that this behavior, this violence, domestic violence, whether it's physical, sexual, or verbal, religious abuse, emotional, um, psychological. I mean, so many different levels of domestic violence. Just threatening to hurt someone is domestic abuse. Just throwing something is domestic abuse. Yelling
Hmm.
is abusive, and so these behaviors are not normal. Now they happen a lot. Many of us grew up with them, but it's not normal. It's not healthy. It's not productive, and it's damaging. It's destructive.
Yeah.
So we say we're in love. I love you, and I'm sorry I hit you. I'm sorry I said that. You know, um, and that's great that one apologizes for what they have done. But there should be consequences, because without consequences, we don't. You know, if you don't give consequences, what's the likelihood it's going to happen again? So it's really important for couples to hold each other accountable, and that means if someone hits you, you need to report them. Hey, you ain't gonna hit me again. If you do, if you hit me the first time, there's gonna be consequences. That doesn't necessarily have to mean the end of the relationship. No, but I agree with you. Seek refuge. If someone is abusing you, call somebody. Let somebody know. Um, it's one thing when you're a kid and you don't have and you're just overpowered. But when you're an adult, you're overpowered emotionally and psychologically. That's why you don't call and ask for somebody for some help, certainly. But you can call and say, hey, I'm being abused. There's hotline. What's the hotline here in Huntsville? Is it I should know that. But anyway, you can call the abuse hotline. So there is you can call 911. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Uh,
that.
so there's no need to put yourself in that situation, because indeed it can be very very damaging to your health and to your life. 1-800 domestic violence abuse hotline, 1-800-799-7233. 1-800-799-7233. You love them, you love each other, yeah, but there's an illness, there's a sickness, there's a problem that
Yeah.
needs to be addressed. It's just like drug addiction. It doesn't just go away. I'm just going to quit using. Okay. I mean, what percentage do that? So you really need to get some help. Your spouse, if they're hitting on you or talking badly to you, they need some help. And you can't trust them to say, I won't do it again. They need to get some help. That's my advice. What were we going to say, Dr. Dana?
Yeah.
I don't know how this show turned into the domestic. I guess I gotta
Hey,
read. I gotta read what a friend of mine sent to me about Putin. But go ahead, read it. Go ahead. What you got to say? I'm gonna see while I find it.
Um, but one of the other courses that I teach is abnormal psychology, and you ask, what is normal anyway? And
Right.
I think people try to box in other people's behavior and classify it as normal or abnormal based on what they believe, and there's no such thing, right? But when we think about abuses, abuses are sly people. Some of them are just so clever and cunning and manipulative that you don't even realize, how bad things are until you're already drowning in despair. And that's because a lot of abusive behaviors are can look like love. And you're probably like, what you mean it could look like love? It could look like love to a person who's never been truly loved,
Mm.
right? They could be disguised as like caring, protecting you, or even tough love. Like that's one of the ones like a lot of people will say, it's just the way they love. That's tough love.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's abuse.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes you have to get to the point where you're able to recognize that. But hear me when I say this, abusers aren't always monsters, right? They're not always evil. They don't always punch you in the face when you talk back or something, they don't like. Sometimes, they're your most favorite people in the world.
Mm.
Sometimes they're truly your best friend and your family. But that doesn't mean it's good for you. And it
Right.
doesn't mean those terrible times are okay. And so one of the things that I've always, when I considered abuse is like, I had someone ask me one time, like, how do you know when it's abuse? And for me, number one is they justify everything with, because I love you, I do this to you because I just want you to know, what this means. And in my mind, translation, jealousy, like jealousy seems cute and sweet at first, like, oh, they really love me, they don't want to lose me. But jealousy is a toxic behavior with its roots in insecurity and control.
Mm-hmm.
And then they typically follow it up with, oh, I just want to take care of you, or and then the other one, like this is a big one, they'll find excuses to make a fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this happened, and because this happened, let's just start over. Let's just start over, and this will never happen again. And that's usually followed by, if you love me, you will, and that's abuse. It's abuse because it's classic manipulation. If you love me, you'll buy me this new car. If you love me, you'll accept the fact that I can't control my anger and my emotions. And this form of abuse is a lot of one that people overlook, is threats of suicide.
Mm-hmm.
It's mental abuse beyond conversation, right? Oh, if you leave me, I'm gonna kill myself.
Mm.
This is manipulation. If your
Yeah.
partner says that so much that they'll kill themselves, that's not romantic.
No,
That's
no, that's threatening.
sexy. That's abuse, you know,
Why are they saying that to you?
because they've probably done something wrong. Typically, they've done something wrong, and that's the way to keep you. 9 times out of 10, they just get mad that you, like, no, you want to kill yourself because you love me? You can take that to Jesus by yourself. So I'm not.
That's rough,
And so,
man.
yeah, so there's a lot of other signs or a lot of other ways to tell that you're being abused.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and don't forget the using gifts as a weapon. Like that is another form of abuse that a lot of people
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just,
Yeah,
or the big one is other people that I don't trust.
yeah.
What?
It's a lot, and you know, it's complicated and complex, and it's really this manipulative behavior is so in the realm of you need to be a psychologist, a therapist to really be able to help see it and deal with
Mm,
it and address it, because these people are they just they run circles around their victims, circles, because they're
absolutely.
so good with their words. They know how to, and man, I'm sitting here like, come on, man, what you
Oh,
trying to do?
well, I can't stand a
Come on,
gaslighter. Oh,
come on, what you trying to do? Or a woman? It ain't just men. Women do it too. So don't. It's an equal opportunity. Manipulation is an equal opportunity role, equal opportunity. Not taking responsibility for yourself and hitting and running. Oh, that one right there, hit and run. Yeah, man. People be doing it all the time. It's rough, boy.
the words hands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't find my little quote I wanted to read. It was so funny. The guy was saying that Putin and Russia and Ukraine broke up, so it's like an abusive relationship. And Putin coming back with a vengeance, because he don't want you to be with nobody else. And if I can't have you, nobody can have you.
Yeah.
And that's what ends up happening in so many relationships. Person come back and just do that. It's just terrible, just terrible, just terrible. So we got to pray for folks. 1-800-799-7233. If you feel like you're in an abusive relationship, you need to call that number and get some help today. All right.
Feel like abuse or gaslighting, you can call lifestyle therapy and coaching and get some help today too.
Well, yeah, I guess if your marriage is on the brink of divorce, and you want to try one last time, give us a call. That's kind of how we've been handling it lately. Is those folks who want both husband and wife want to save that thing and are willing to do whatever it takes. Sign up for one of our programs. We'd be glad to help you. And yes, we do. We were glad to help you. Just give us a call. We give you a free Sizzle evaluation. So just go to sizzlinghotmarriage.com and we'll be glad to help you. Well, Dr. Davis, today, you got anything for us as far as the questions for the day? Let's see. I wonder how our sizzle challenge is doing here. We're coming along pretty good here on the sizzle challenge. You still doing it? Or y'all done stopped?
We start.
Yeah. It's 21 days, a long time. 21 days is a long time. This has got to be day 14.
Yeah.
All right. No, to day 13, because tomorrow, day 14. So the question today is, how important is a physical connection to you? How important is a physical connection? It's unbelievable how many couples can go, actually years without touching each other. That is just amazing. The study of the thriving baby, study where they took these babies. It's a terrible study. It's like one of those, like that syphilis study, where some babies, they held and some babies they didn't hold. And how the babies who didn't get held, died. And the babies who were held thrived. It's just so important. Touch is so important. But in so many marriages, especially when people are mad at each other, they don't touch each other. Ain't no sex, ain't no touch. So, it's unfortunate. But so for you, Dr. Davis, how important is the physical connection to Satik?
Yeah. So when I think about physical connections, I always swerve into the lane of physical intimacy, right? Because physical intimacy is not just about connection between two human beings connecting their body, but it's like your physical touch ignites my soul, like it draws my soul to you. It binds us, it binds us. And so for me, when you think about a physical connection, it's just like without a physical connection, like if I'm upset, if I'm enraged, like your touch on my shoulder should calm me down. Like your touch should arouse me. Like your physical touch does more than just lead to sex. Like your physical touch should be comforting. I think back to hugging for 20 seconds. That speaks to how imperative physical connections are. Like you just hugging me for 20 seconds gets me to a place where sexually I want to be with you, where I feel protected, I feel warm, I feel calm. So it really speaks to the nature of how imperative a physical connection is. And I will tell you that, to me, that's a telltale sign that there's problems when that person's physical touch or lack thereof doesn't get you to the place where you're excited about that person anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like Think about a kid. When a kid is scared, what do? You grab their hands, you hug them, you hold them. And that really speaks to how important physical touch is, and how
Mm-hmm.
it offers a sense of safety that you don't physically have to articulate. You don't have to put into words, and
Mm-hmm.
that's,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to me it's kind of like the yin and the yang, if you
Mm-hmm.
will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, physical connection is just as important as intimacy.
Some people like, I don't need all that. I don't need all that. You know. Why you get married? You may not need it, but your spouse sure does.
Yeah. Like you can communicate empathy through physical touch.
Yeah.
You know, yeah,
Yeah.
you rubbing them back while they're
Yeah.
physical touch is everything.
Rubbing their feet when they're tired. You know.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
massage when
So
they're
yeah.
aching.
So how important is physical connection to you? Yeah, very, very important. Some people say, "Well, I want the emotional connection." Yeah, yeah, I mean that's important too, right? But you can't do without that physical connection.
Yeah.
So,
It's the feel of safety. It's comfortable. It's
mm-hmm,
physical accepted. I mean, it's the root of attachment. A physical connection is the root of attachment in my mind. Like, yeah.
so if you got some issues in that department, sometimes you need to break up the fallow ground and give us a call at sizzlinghotmarriage.com. We'll be glad to talk to you about getting that connection back started again. It's all about getting that sizzle on, ain't that right? It's possible to have a sizzling hot marriage, folks, even after a long dry spell. So, but it takes a little work and sometimes a little help. So we'd be
Yeah.
glad to help you out. Well,
Physical force physical attraction. You ever been around somebody and you're not attracted to that person? In fact, you probably think they funny looking, but after being around so long and like just having that interaction, that physical connection with them, you start to see that person is attractive, and that's
mm-hmm,
how physical connect
right,
phys-
right,
makes physically attractive.
yeah,
Isn't that?
yeah. That's why when couples, that's why I implore couples to spend more time together because it's inevitable. You know, that's why most affairs happen where?
At the
At the
workplace?
workplace because they're together all the time. So
Hmm.
you come home and ain't nothing. You come home to nothing, nothing like a dead body. You know, that's just not. That ain't appealing at all. So you guys got to get that thing livened up again. Get some stuff going on. Take some actions to get some activity going. All right, we're gonna transition here. I had a great interview with Chad Johnson. Um, Chad, we're gonna start. We're gonna watch a little bit of it, and we'll break away and talk about it. But Chad is a third generation entrepreneur who had several successful careers before returning to the family business and leading the team at ceramic decorating company for 18 years. He sold his business in May 2020 to pursue his other ventures. Chad is a business coach to elite level business owners with strategic coach. He is the current owner of another family business, Farmhouse Candle Shop, farmhousecandleshop.com, and co-founder of Newlywed Coaching last year, and that's newlywedcoaching.com. Last year, he wrote and published his first book, How to Win a Heart. Most recently, Chad has started his couples planning retreat, G5 Summit, g5summit.com. This two-day event is for the high-achieving entrepreneurial couples who want to turn success upside down by prioritizing their life according to what Chad calls his Giant Five. Chad and his wife, Janice, have been married more than 28 years and currently live in Montana. They have 11 children, 6 grandchildren, another one on the way, and they enjoy traveling. So hopefully, if we have no technical challenges today, hear ye Chad Johnson. All right, welcome to another edition of the Sizzling Hot Marriage Show with your host here, yours truly, Joe Folletta Jr. So happy to be here with you today. And I'm really excited today to have my guest with me, Chad Johnson. Chad, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Joe. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for
It,
having me.
Glad to have you. It's such a wonderful thing to be able to interview other folks who are in the trenches, really blessing couples and trying to keep folk happy. I think it's a wonderful thing to associate with folks like that, and we keep each other encouraged.
That's right. I love the work you're doing.
Thank you. Well, listen, tell us a little bit about what you do, Chad.
Well, you know what? It's a joy. I've been an entrepreneur, a business owner for many, many years. And I don't know why, but God placed in my heart at a very young age a passion for relationship as well, for marriage. And not only my own, which is primary first and foremost in that, but he kind of just really put my heart on my heart to encourage others in that. And that's why I think I was so drawn to what you're doing, Joe. Seriously, I just love your heart for seeing people go from where they are to where they want to be in those most important relationships. And so my wife and I've been working with newlywed couples for the last 15 years, doing some retreats with them, getting them grounded, starting the right way. But then I've been doing a lot of business coaching over the last 7 years, and I'm finding people, Joe, they put their business first often in their life because it just career, success, money, taking care of things, it gets kind of put to the top of their priority list almost unintentionally. And I've been coaching a lot of those folks who are successful in that primary area that they've chosen, but then I start to see their other areas of importance suffer, including their faith, and I call it my giant five. But when you see your faith suffer, or your marriage suffer, or your children not getting the time you want with them or whatnot, or your health, if you're not taking care of those basic things, then you can't even do the business that side well. So I've been really focused recently on working with people, helping them, I say, turn their success upside down. And
Mm,
instead of business being first and everything else suffering or getting the scraps, let's flip it upside down and let's put faith first, and then let's make our marriage next. Because
that's
if
awesome.
I'm right with God, then I'm right with my wife, right? So
That's awesome.
we just did our first event around that, and it's just been a real focus for me, and I'm so passionate about it.
That's great. I mean, you've got some real life experience. I mean, you've been married for how many years now?
28 years. We'll be
28
29 in
years. And
August.
how do you
Yes.
get 11 kids out of that? I mean, that's a lot you guys have ground you guys have covered. And so you know a lot about these giant fives, huh? From your
I,
own personal experience.
I, I tell you what, I've learned a lot of what not to do, brother. That's what I've been. A lot of it, you trial by error, and God is so gracious. But I am in the trenches, like you said. I get to live this out and work on it in my own reality, and I'm so grateful. I probably like you, Joe. I haven't met Claudia, but I can bet already you married up. I'm married up, and
Yeah.
God is so good. I've got a good help.
That's wonderful, man. That's wonderful. Help me. I'm gonna have to do a show on that because
Oh,
I think unfortunately, we just lose a sense of connection with these biblical principles.
yeah,
We just
yes.
they call it traditional, now, and so it's unfortunate they're optional. But I truly believe that he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing,
Mm,
and we men,
man,
we need help. I
we
tell
do
guys
need
all
help.
the time, oh man, that's probably one of my lines I use more often than not. Man, you need some help. Why don't you listen to your help?
That's right. Oh, I tell people all the time, Joe. I said it frightens me to think who I'd be 28 years into my life, since I was married to my wife without her. I mean, I needed all kinds, and I do daily, and I'm so grateful because she is that. She is
That's a
that other
beautiful
part
thing.
of me.
So,
Yeah,
so Chad, I mean, tell us a little bit about. Um, we're talking about intimacy and building it, maintaining it in our marriages.
yeah.
This is a Valentine's Day, a 21-day sizzle challenge that we're putting couples through, and so this whole idea of intimacy. Tell us first of all, how would you define intimacy?
Wow. It's interesting. because in the Bible it uses this word, like Adam knew Eve, right? And there's this, of course, this physical intimacy of them becoming one, which we're so familiar with. But at the ultimate source of oneness, I think it's knowing someone so well, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and being known fully by someone and being loved anyway. And I don't know if that makes sense, but for me, it's that, I have intimacy with my wife because she knows me better than anyone else. She understands me better than anyone else, and then loves me anyway. And I get so, I'm so blessed by that. But I don't know. That's intimacy to me.
Yeah, yeah. It sounds. I mean, it's kind of what you sign up for, isn't it? I mean, you kind of, you date a lot of people or whatever, and or you find somebody who you feel gets you,
Yeah,
and you can talk and about anything, and you feel that acceptance, and so that's what you sign up for, right? And
yeah,
it sounds like
yeah,
that's what you got, and that's awesome. Unfortunately, everybody, uh, doesn't feel that
yeah, yeah,
safe in their
yeah.
marriage. They're not they're not able to be vulnerable because it just might not be a safe place to be vulnerable.
That's so true. That's so true, Joe. It's so interesting. Literally talking with couples as newlyweds, we say, hey, the goal in marriage is that one ability to be 100% transparent, to be fully open and known. Because, again, if I'm fully open and known, and if that relationship is that healthy and that safe, that it can handle that, boy, you experience a oneness that is so rare and precious, right? And so valuable. And for many couples, it's not found in their first year of marriage or second or third. It can take time to grow in that trust and to grow in that deepening of that, hey, she is safe for me. I love Proverbs 31. It talks about the heart of her husband does safely trust in her, and same thing, the wife can trust that he is a safe space. But
Hmm.
that's something we grow in, right? It's something to aspire to me.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about wow, 100% safe space. That that is crazy. 100% safe space. Man, um is your marriage 100%, are you able to be 100% honest with your spouse in your marriage? 100% honest? 100%
Wow.
honest.
It's that, you know why? Because it's those other two, it's that other 2% that's gonna lead to the problems. And that's one of the things I really walked away from premarital counseling with is leave no room for error. And so you may think holding back that truth is gonna make peace, but it's only until you get tired of carrying it and it just explodes and the bag just overflows. So yeah, 100% safe space.
Hmm.
That's thing I learned from premarital counseling with this guy who I went through therapy with, right? Uh, oh, he's on that side. So let me.
Oh, okay, okay, all right. Hey, Willie. Oh,
Hey, Joe. Joe was the guy who we went through therapy with.
oh, 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 oh.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
so
all right, all right, all right. I got you.
it was like you cannot leave any room for problems.
Right,
So 100% safe space, even
right.
though it hurts, because keeping in the truth is gonna hurt one way or the other.
It's hard to be honest when you're crooked. You know what I'm saying? That's why a lot of people don't want to come to therapy, right? Because they're crooked.
Yeah,
They're crooked, and they
and
know it.
and,
And
and when
so,
you
huh?
telling telling the lies is like a domino effect. Like you
Yeah,
gotta keep telling them.
yeah,
You know,
man. And Bill, when you married to somebody who's crooked, that's rough, ain't it? That's
very
rough,
rough.
rough. Well, that was Chad Johnson. Great. We're gonna continue finishing him off tomorrow. Watch some more of his tomorrow, but I had to stop on that. 100% honest. That's intimacy. That's something worthy to achieving in your marriage. That's how you get it sizzling, folks. You hold nothing back. You're holding nothing back. You're putting it all out there. And sometimes you need some supervision for that, though. So if you need some help getting to that point, make sure you check us out at sizzlinghotmarriage.com. Get a free evaluation, and we'll be glad to help you get your marriage back on the sizzle track if it's falling off. All right. Well, Dr. Davis, it's been a wonderful day, another time on the Sizzling Hot Marriage Show. Thank you for joining me and keeping this show interesting. If it was just me by myself, it wouldn't be that interesting. But you bring a lot more flavor to it. That's what's up.
Red Kool-Aid, ladies and gentlemen. Red Kool-Aid.
Red Kool-Aid. All right. All right, well, folks, blessings on everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and look forward to seeing you again tomorrow for another edition of the Sizzling Hot Marriage Show with yours truly, Joe Folletti, and co-host Dr. Saitik Davis. Until next time, take care.